welcome back. K&L Sports Huddle, Cage Kiplinger, Logan Hubert, a special Merry Christmas episode for y'all as we get set for Christmas Day, ready for all the presents, all the good food, and seeing family once. Recapping Week 16 of the NFL, of course, our Week 17 picks against the spread, and recapping a bit of a lackluster first round of the college football playoff as we look ahead towards the quarterfinal matchups. Logan, it's good to see you again. Ready when you are for our weekly Whiplash.
Absolutely. Okay, starting the MLB, your Redbirds made a big move. They have traded Wilson Contreras to the Red Sox. So, how do you feel about that? Happy that the Cardinals are finally maybe starting to
we've
demolish their roster that's not really going anywhere.
Yeah, we got a lot of big money expenditures on our team. So, hauling those guys off for multiple pieces that we can form, a rebuilding year, obviously, for us. And we've been hearing that for the last few years, but finally it feels like we're actually moving towards that direction and getting rid of this core that just didn't really pan out.
Agreed. In college basketball, the biggest game I would say of the past week was Texas Tech coming back from 17 points down in the second half to beat Duke. Duke's first loss of the year and their largest blown lead since 2007. And much needed win for Texas Tech because they are a good team. They've just scheduled brutally this year and they just haven't been able to knock off any big teams, but they finally were able to get one right before conference play tips off. And Duke's a young team, and it was improbable for them to probably finish their whole non-conference slate undefeated. So it might be good for them to get a loss to a good team under their belt, especially one where they felt like they should have won, so they can get that ugly taste in their mouth and use that as fuel through conference play. And lastly, my favorite person in the world, Jake Paul. Unfortunately, I cried myself to sleep whenever Anthony Joshua defeated him in a 6th round knockout the other day in the Miami main event. Yes, I've always been a massive Jake Paul fan. He's just such a likable guy and just a real inspiration. And yeah, it was unfortunate to see him lose.
I'm just glad that boxing is at least getting some sort of attention. I feel like it's just a sport that really died out since we've been watching sports. It's never really been the big ticket since maybe like Pacquiao, Mayweather. But these Netflix specials, they're interesting, but ultimately we know that Paul has no business stepping into the ring with some of these guys.
I mean, but in all honesty, he's better than if you had told me Jake Paul was going to become a boxer a few years ago. I would have just laughed it off. But I mean, he's better than he's better than I thought he was ever going to be. I'll put it that way. But it was funny to finally see him get knocked out.
Yeah. Breaking news, or sort of breaking news, but to add a little bonus whiplash here, Brooks Koepka is leaving Live. Just saw that alert come through about an hour or so ago. He hasn't gone over to PGA just yet, but I assume that'll be here in the next week or so. I'd assume we'd see him start to make that move back to the PGA, and maybe that is a sign that we'll get some of those heavy hitters back in the PGA Tour. The big ones we need.
How will this affect Team Smash and Live Golf team?
Well, the thing is, Live is going to 72 holes now, so maybe some of those guys who didn't feel as prepared for the major events will like the 72-hole structure now that they'll be going to. But yeah, little bonus weekly whiplash there for you guys. But let's move on to our NFL spotlight, where we recap the previous week in the NFL through the lens of a game of the week, a stat that told the story, and a team or player spotlight. We'll start with the game of the week. Has to be Rams-Seahawks. This was from the Thursday night matchup last week. This was about as dramatic a regular season game as you'll ever see. Seattle trailed by 16 points late in the fourth quarter before mounting a furious comeback. Coming back, I thought my bet with the Rams was for sure thing, and didn't really pan out. And I think what this does, obviously, it settles Seattle at the top of the NFC because they didn't fold. They kept swinging, kept finding answers, and ended up finishing the job under Sam Darnold in that offense. Does this win tell you the Seahawks are legit contenders, or is this just a wild Thursday night outlier that won't matter in January?
Well, nevertheless, when I think of the Seahawks, yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Both sides. I mean, the stars, well, both teams were legit. Stafford, Puka were just an insane combo. Rams are missing Devontae Adams, and then JSN had a very quiet first half, and then he woken up in the second half. And then Darnold, who kind of had a shaky game all game, threw some absolute darts in overtime on that final drive, including the 2-point conversion to win the game. So crazy game. I mean, you could say it was a little fluky with that 2-point conversion they got in the fourth
with
quarter.
The backwards pass.
The backwards pass, yeah. But I mean, I've always thought Seattle's good. I mean, I texted you last night though. It's still. I mean, it is very concerning that they couldn't score a single touchdown against the Colts defense. Like that means that version of the Seahawks offense does exist. So if you're a Seahawks fan, you just got to hope that was just a one-time thing and that doesn't repeat itself come postseason, or else you're not going to be winning any games by a game-winning field goal. You're going to get blown out. So
yeah, what about the Rams side of this, blowing that lead and of the game that they had complete control of from the better part of that matchup?
Yeah, well, their offense really shouldn't feel any regrets from that. They scored 37 points against a legit defense. Their defense, might have to do some soul searching. They got a good matchup against a struggling Falcons team to get back on track this week. So, and Sean McVay and company, they've been through lots of scenarios over the past few years, so I feel like they'll be well prepared to bounce back. Yeah, that unexpected comeback.
Okay, our stat that told the story. This one we're going to one of the Saturday games from last week. The Bears defense holding the Packers to 3 of 14 on third down. In a rivalry battle that went to overtime, that inability to sustain drives was the difference. Chicago's defense consistently got off the field, flipped field position, and kept the Bears in striking distance. So ultimately helping set up that extra possession they needed to pull off a big game winner at the end there. That's the kind of defensive efficiency that is going to get overlooked in a game like this, where that play at the end ended up sealing it for them. But I think on this show, at least, we give attention to what deserves it. So when you see a defense dominate third down like that in a high pressure rivalry game, does it make you trust that unit more going forward? Because it is a unit that did well in forcing turnovers, but to be able to lock people down, to lock offenses down on third down and force punts. What do you think about that with this Bears defense?
Malik Willis was quarterbacking in the second half, though, so I'm still.
He's a
I do like the
winner,
Bears
though, under LaFleur.
I do like the Bears, but the overreaction I've seen from this game have just been insane.
It has been pretty wild.
It's been absolutely wild because, I mean, the Bears had to recover an onside kick. Caleb Williams has been fantastic in the fourth quarter this year, but I mean, he's put them in situations. He's been pretty mediocre in the first three, and he's kind of put them in situations where they need to come back in the fourth quarter. And I mean, their defense did their job. I felt like, even despite them going against the backup quarterback, they did what needed to be done. Shout out to their special teams for recovering that onside kick as well. And then shout out to Caleb for throwing that beautiful touchdown pass to tie it, and then the game winner in overtime.
All right, our team or player spotlight this time, we're going with a player, and it's Drake May. Patriots had a comeback win over the Baltimore Ravens last week. May threw for nearly 400 yards and showed a level of poise you don't often see from a young player this late in the season. He didn't just produce numbers. He controlled the game, made the right reads, led New England back into the playoff race. going to be interesting to see them come playoff time, how they'll do against what's really a depleted AFC with no Mahomes, possibly no Lamar. But is this the kind of moment you start to believe that Drake May could lead New England at least on a playoff run?
I'm actually a little worried that the Patriots are going to get the 1 seed because they've been so dominant on the road this year that they might blow their Super Bowl might blow the Super Bowl chance because they got home field advantage. But nevertheless, yeah, great performance by Drake May, and it's good to see they haven't faced much adversity all year. It's good to see them climb out of some adversity in this game because Baltimore was in control. Granted, this was another game where a backup quarterback had to come in, but still, he went at the Ravens' defense was still the Ravens' defense. The Ravens' defense was still the Ravens' defense, and he took it to them in the second half, particularly the fourth quarter. So, good bounce back win for the Patriots and Drake May because May frankly had his worst game of the year, arguably last week, the week before against Buffalo.
Yeah.
So good to see him bounce back against a formidable opponent. I'll put it that way. But Baltimore definitely has many issues, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I've seen some funny tweets and posts about the fact that NFL fans finally get to see the Chiefs not be in the playoffs, and then we get the Patriots right back, right when it was the Brady Patriots going into the Chiefs under Mahomes, and now could be the next era for Patriots fans here. All right, let's move on to our signature segment, the spreadsheet. This is where we do our picks against the spread. This week we're looking at week 17. We've got 2 weeks left, my man. If it's nut up or shut up right now, if you're going to be a profitable year for you. Last week I came in at 9-7, got me to 126, 114, and 1 at 52.5% against the spread. Where are you looking at this point?
Yeah, I went 11-5, so I really had a good week, but it's a major asterisk because I didn't the lock of the week and my dirty dog both were wrong. So it feels good to be 11-5, but it should feel better. I'll put it that way. But it puts I'm now above 500 again. I'm 121, 118, and 1.
There you go. Yeah, my lock didn't hit either. Had the Lions. What a crazy game that was, the way that one ended. My dirty dog hit. That seems to be my winning card right there with the Cleveland Browns last week on the 10.5 point spread. That one was a fun one. And then my stay away I actually got right. I got the Atlanta Falcons at 2.5. So
stay away. I kind of view if you get wrong, that's fine too, because you were
right.
telling people to stay away. So it's like, yeah, I don't really look to see how I did on that one. Yeah.
I felt indifferent about the stay away winning it. I'm like, well, maybe it shouldn't have been a stay away. All right. Little overview for week 17. Historically, it has been profitable to fade teams that need to win at the end of the regular season. Since 1990, eliminated teams playing teams that need to win over the final 2 weeks of the regular season have gone 108, 69, and 4. That's 61% against the spread. For week 17, the following eliminated teams fit this trend: the Vikings versus the Lions, the Browns versus the Steelers, and the Dolphins versus the Bucks. So keep that in mind when you're making your picks, and we'll see what we got going for us this week with those picks. But let's start with Thursday. And it's not just one game, we're getting 3 because it's Christmas Day on Netflix. And the first one we'll get things started with is the Cowboys at the Commanders. This one's sitting at 7 in favor of Dallas on the road. For me, this is just a Dak Prescott spot. We're playing a bad team in the division, so that double time, a bad team. He's also really good in the division. So it's just the type of game he dominates. This season, Washington has played 4 games on short rest or short prep time, and they are 0-4 straight up and against the spread, the worst mark of any team in the NFL. For me, even if this number got a little bit higher, I'd still go with Dallas in this spot.
Cowboys -7. I'm in agreement with you. Washington's defense continues to be terrible, and doesn't look like Cowboys are resting anybody out there eliminated. So I feel like they should just steamroll over that. And Mariota will likely be out of this game, meaning Josh Johnson might be playing quarterback. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about the Cowboys in this one, despite them being on the road. So, yep, Cowboys -7. Okay, Christmas game number 2. This spread has changed significantly today. I got it this morning before the news broke that Max Brosmer will be playing quarterback for the Vikings, but Lions are now, I think, like 7-point favorites against the Vikings. I had them at 5.5, so I would probably still take them at 7. But so yeah, the Lions are my favorite bet last week, and they didn't. It did not work. The Steelers came in there, and I watched that game, and I really think that strange, bizarre Kenneth Gainwell touchdown at the end of the first half, I think it just broke the Lions. Like, I thought the Lions were just fully expecting to go into the first half with a lead, 7-point lead, at worst a 4-point lead. But yeah, just the bizarreness of what incredible catch and then not getting touched and just getting up and running to the end zone with 2 seconds left. I think it just broke the Lions, and they just couldn't respond in the second half. So yeah, good bounce back spot for the Lions here, who desperately need a win. I know it's not a good trend, like you just said, but Max Brosmer, we've already seen him play, and it didn't really inspire much confidence.
Right.
Lions -5.5 is what I'm going with, because that's what that spread was, but I would probably still take them at 7 as long as it stays under 7.5.
Yeah, I'm still taking them at 7. Honestly, I think this line should be higher with Brosmer in there. I know McCarthy to Brosmer may not be as big of a jump as maybe some people think it should be, but McCarthy's been playing better. The team's been playing better up the last couple of weeks, and so I think the momentum that they had coming into this week could have been an upset spot there. But now with Brosmer, I can't put serious stock in their team coming into this one. Under Goff and Campbell, when the Lions lose their last meeting versus a team, which they did against Minnesota the last time they played, they are 33-14 against the spread in that next game. Some of that might just have been the fact that they had Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn on the staff for the coordinators, but this has been a different season for Detroit, but I still like them in the spot at home. All right, last spot on the Christmas slate. This was going to be a good matchup, probably when the NFL scheduled it, but wishing they could probably flex this one out now, is the Broncos at the Chiefs. And this one is at a whopping 12.5 points in favor of Denver on the road. For the Chiefs, no Mahomes, not even Gardner Minshew. They've both torn their ACL, and the likely starter in this one will be Chris Oladokun, if I'm saying that right. I know it's the Chiefs. Andy Reid can cook up something funny here. This game, and even the previous one, the Lions and Vikings, these are the type of games where the NBA makes its money on Christmas Day. I think the Broncos take this one. I can't put serious stock in the Chiefs at this point. It seemed like a team that would want to continue losing. I know it's kind of a weird thing to say in football, but they have a chance at getting a pretty high draft pick now. If they continue down this trend, and actually add some pretty good assets going into next season. So I think next season is what they need to be focusing on. So I'll take Denver on the 12.5 point spread.
So when choosing a dirty dog, what I'd like to do is it has to be over. Well, like if they're only 2.5 point underdogs, I'm not calling that a dirty dog because it's close to a pick 'em. So it has to be over a field goal. This week, previous weeks, I felt pretty confident that the team that I picked to be the dirty dog could still win. None of the underdogs I picked to cover the spread, I feel like have any chance of winning their game. So my dirty dog's just going to be a team underdog covering the spread with no I wouldn't pick a dirty dog to win, but I'm picking the Chiefs to cover here. It's the Chiefs' last home game of the year. It's against the Broncos offense that has really kind of drops off on the road. And that's the only way this game will be close, is if the Chiefs defense can make the Broncos offense suffer, which I think could easily happen at home. Big divisional road road favorite. Don't like that. I just think this is just too many points. Plus, I mean, it's going to be a low scoring game. I feel like I just see this being a low scoring game, and low scoring games I don't like. I think 12.5 is just too many points. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go Chiefs.
I do.
And I'll call that my dirty dog. They're not going to win. We all know they're not going to win with. I don't even remember who the quarterback is. I forgot who you said it was a minute ago, but you could just see. It reminds me of that Broncos Raiders game on Thursday night a few weeks ago. Like that game was so stupid. It had no reason to be that close, but for some reason the Broncos offense just decided not to show up, and I could see that happening here.
I feel uneasy picking 3 favorites on Christmas Day, so you might be right about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, on to the Saturday slate. So we got 2 games on Saturday.
These are much
first
better.
ones. They are very interesting games. Both games have playoff implications for all 4 teams involved. Texans at Chargers. Chargers are 1.5 point favorites. Trend continued. All teams of the Colts could have benefited from losing. All went 4-0 last week. Like I said, it's a guaranteed win every time. Colts are on the very brink of elimination. They can only count on the Texans. So this is the last week you can do this. But Texans plus 1.5. Easy money. Easy money. Colts need Texans to lose. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, how many straight weeks have? Teams went 4-0 last week, 4-0 the week before, and I'm pretty sure all those teams won the week before as well. So, I mean, there's really not much else to say. Texans plus 1.5. Both teams do have a lot to play for. Texans still have a chance at the AFC South, and Chargers still have a chance at the 1 seed, believe it or not. So, yeah. But I'll take Texans plus 1.5 as road underdogs.
Yeah, there's some voodoo magic going on in the AFC South. Something going against the Colts right now. But, yeah, I'm in agreement with you on this one. I like Houston at plus 1.5. I initially, when I first looked at this, I wanted to go Chargers with the short favorite at home. And looking at it as maybe like a revenge spot for the Chargers after losing against Houston in the wild card game last season, and Herbert putting up one of his worst performances. But why did he put up one of his worst performances? Because this defense is really good, and it's the story of this game because they're allowing just 16.6 points per game this season, best mark in the NFL by 2 full points. And I think if you were looking for a letdown with the Houston Texans on their win streak, I think last week was it. Was them winning.
Yeah, they're just playing. They're just playing the worst team in the league,
right.
So that team is cursed of winning. So yeah,
yeah, and so they only beat them by a field goal. So I think that was your letdown week for Houston. I think on this low of a number, basically a pick 'em. Even as a favorite, though, Herbert is 9-15 straight up versus teams above 500. It's just a good fade Herbert spot. So I'd rather bet on the Houston defense than anything else in this game. So I will be in agreement with you on that. Plus 1.5 with the Houston Texans. All right. Second one, Ravens at the Packers. This one is at 2.5 in favor of Green Bay at home. Question for this one is who the quarterbacks are going to be. Malik Willis or Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley. To me, with the Ravens, I think if Lamar's out, that is a bigger blow to Baltimore than the Packers not having Jordan Love, because LaFleur has proven he's been able to get dubs with Willis when Willis has to start. So I will take the under a field goal favorite in this one. I like where the number is sitting for Green Bay at home. Also, the Ravens defense is bad, and the vibe is even worse in the locker room. The Ravens defense is the team is 0-7 when their defense allows 20 plus points, which seems to be happening pretty frequently this season. And you're just seeing a lot of bad vibes with that team. Players getting into arguments with coaches on the sidelines. Harbaugh took out Derrick Henry in that last game when he was dominating. So it's weird stuff going on with Baltimore. It's a season from hell for them.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised it's only 2.5, which is why I'm taking the Packers. At home, Green Bay's played 2 straight tough road games, so they're coming back home. Yes, both teams desperately need a win. But yeah, I like the Packers as well, -2.5. I think Malik Willis isn't a super humongous drop off from what we've seen from him from Jordan Love. I mean, obviously Jordan Love's better, but Willis can hold his own out there. And yeah, I like Green Bay at home. And I guess would that officially eliminate the Ravens if they lost,
I'd
or would
imagine they're
they?
7-8 right now, I believe. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So yeah, it would.
Or
Yeah,
there's,
even if the Steelers lose.
or there's
Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're in agreement. Packers -2.5. Okay. Another AFC North team, the Cincinnati Bengals, are hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Bengals are 7-point favorites. And I see this as a game. I see this as a Cardinals team who's just awful. And I see this as a Bengals team who just put up 45 against a bad team. They're playing another bad team who I think's given up. So I like the Bengals at -7 at home.
Thank you. Yes, we're going Bengals -7. I told you they'd have an onslaught in Miami last
Okay,
week.
in my defense, I would have definitely chosen the Bengals had we not heard that Quinn Ewers would be starting quarterback until after we
That was
recorded.
hilarious.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the Bengals had a very efficient week against the Dolphins. 6 of 6 in the red zone with 4 passing touchdowns from Burrow. You'd expect a bit of a drop off maybe this week, but they get back-to-back bad teams. I can't take Arizona seriously. Even in big number spots like this, I'll just take the Cincy offense to score more in what might be a shootout if Arizona can get points. I mean, it's a bad Cincy defense, but I just see them being able to put up 40 plus again.
So, they only put up 16 against Atlanta, so at home.
That's true.
So,
that's true. All right. Steelers at the Browns. This one sitting at 3.5 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you probably already know where I'm going with this one. I'm running it back with the Cleveland Browns at home +3.5. The Steelers they've reached their win total. They're not going to get more than 9 wins this season. And Cleveland actually has won 5 of their last 6 home games versus the Steelers outright, winning and covering their last 3 home games versus the Steelers. It's just an automatic smash. When it's an over a field goal number, when Tomlin's an over a field goal favorite, especially on the road, this is just an auto lock for me. It's my dirty dog because I didn't really pick a team on a huge spread, so I'll just double down with my dirty dog and say Cleveland's going to win this game.
Interesting. This is my do not bet of the week, because all what you said is true of how this screams Browns because of just historically how the Steelers do at the end of the year once they hit that 9-win mark, or Browns winning 5 of the last 6. I'm going Steelers here for 2 reasons. One, I just think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback they've had in this span of 9-8 or nothing. So I just think that means a little bit more. And this does kind of fall into the bad team plays a good game. They can't do it again 2 weeks in a row. They only lost to the Bills by 3. And yeah, I don't like this because of all of what you said. So this is my do not bet, but I'm gonna go Steelers -3.5, and they'll wrap up the AFC North with this big win. Okay, Saints at Titans, 2 teams coming off a win. Very interesting. Saints are kind of on a roll. Saints could arguably be the best team in the NFC South at the moment. And I'm going to pick them here at -3 as road favorites because I just find it extremely unlikely that the Titans can win 2 games in a row.
Yeah. They're actually 5-3 against the spread. The Titans are since firing Callahan, so it's been a reversal of fortune for them, at least against the spread. I feel like this is a time to fade Tyler Shook, but I'm not going to.
You did that last week,
I
and it burned you.
It really burned me. Yeah, I'll go with the Saints here, -3. Yeah, they're on a roll. I think it just.
They're on a roll, but man, they've had an easy schedule here recently.
Right.
Super easy.
So I'll be with you on this one. We don't need to spend too much time on it though. Jaguars at the Colts. Here we go. Colts. The Jaguars are 6.5-point favorites on the road in Indianapolis. Look, for the Colts, there's just no secondary right now, and it's not all their fault. They've had injuries. It feels like the worst luck imaginable, giving up assets to go get Sauce Gardner, and then for him to get injured. But this is just a spot where the Jaguars are always a thorn in the Colts side. Since 2015, Indy is 3-17-1 against the spread versus Jacksonville. In that span, none of the 10 Colts QBs are above 500 against the spread versus the Jaguars. And Philip Rivers himself is 0-2 against the spread in that spot. This is my lock of the week. I will take the Jaguars under that touchdown spread against the Colts on the road.
I'm going to go Colts at +6.5 just because I do think there is something to a home finale thing. When you get absolutely humiliated like you did on defensively, there's nothing you can do more than just play up. Like, you just have to play up, and I see that happening here. Plus, Jacksonville they're just on too big of a roll right now. They're due for Colts are not going to win this game, but they're due for a sweated out game. And frankly, Colts offense has looked pretty good last week. Pretty good. Yesterday, I guess, when we're recording this, with Rivers, very efficient getting rid of the ball, which is needed because the Jaguars' run defense is pretty good. So they'll probably lock in on Taylor. So I could see that the Colts will put up more of a fight. Gardner could be back. I would have to think he might be back because he didn't go on IR, and this would be his 4th week out. So then that would raise the question: why was he not put on IR in the first place? So I have a feeling he might be back for this game. So yeah, I'll take the Colts as home underdogs at +6.5. And then Houston's going to win the night before, so. And then it'll become one of those games where the Jaguars have something to play for and the Colts have nothing to play for, and it goes with what you were saying at the beginning. Okay, this was only a hair. This next one was only a hair behind the Steelers Browns for do not bet, and that's Buccaneers at Dolphins. It's at Miami, right? Yep. Buccaneers are 5.5-point favorites. Is that what it's still? Okay. Tampa's just not been itself for several weeks, and there's really been no indication that they're going to reverse that trend. If there was ever a time to do it, it would be this week against Quinn Ewers and company, which is why I'm going to lean their way. I'm going to go Buccaneers -5.5. It's like I said, I do not like this bet just because of how horrible the vibes are with this team right now. But Quinn Ewers in Miami is just not. It's just a bad team. Tampa doesn't have to travel very far for this one, so there'll probably be a lot of Buccaneers fans there because they need to win so they can have a shot at taking the throne from the Panthers in Week 18. So, Bucks -5.5.
Yeah, it's the only reason I'm taking Bucks. This is my stay away for this week because it's just hard to trust Tampa Bay right now. But they are going up against Quinn Ewers after the benching of Tua Tagovailoa. So yeah, it's just way I have to lean. I can't put serious stock in Miami. So another game we don't need to spend too much time on. So Patriots at the Jets. This line is the other of our 12.5-point spreads. This one favoring New England, obviously. For me, I tried to put faith in the Jets last week. That was unfounded. Jets are just bad. Tough choice taking them last week. I won't do it again for these last 2 weeks. So just going to have to lean Patriots here with the roll they're on.
Yeah, backdoor cover is really the only thing here. Patriots -12.5. Jets have mailed it in. Patriots are still playing for the 1 seed. So yeah, I like the Patriots here. Okay, big game in the NFC. Seahawks traveling east to Carolina.
This one.
as 7.5-point favorites. If you know the Panthers, you know they have had many highs and many lows this year, usually one after another. So the easy thing to do here would be go Seattle. But I think both teams are coming off highs, which means the 7.5 points is just too many points. If it got to 7 or 6.5, I would go Seattle, but I just think 7.5 is just too many. So I will go Panthers plus 7.5.
It is a sneaky good line. Almost the perfect line for this game. I really wanted to go Panthers on it, but I just know Carolina tends to have that letdown after good performances, and they won as a dog. So I got to go against them this week. I do like the number, but Sam Darnold has been a favorite of 6 points or more 12 times as a starter in the NFL. He was 12-0 straight up, 9-3 against the spread in those games. So I do like this spot, and we've said it before. Seattle really good on the road, and I would say they probably want this one more, and they'll be a popular pick in this situation. Just holding on to that, it's a tight lead on the NFC West, and same thing for Carolina. But I think they don't have a team knocking on their door the way Seattle does in their division. So I will go Seattle at minus 7.5 on the road. Giants at the Raiders. Woo! Wow. Okay. This is a rough one. Probably don't even need to put this on the screen. You'll have other late window games to watch while this one's going on.
Only one more. Only
there's
only two.
There's only
week.
two.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah. So Raiders, are the Raiders favored in this one? Am I seeing that right?
Last I saw, yes.
Minus 1.5. This is basically a pick 'em, but no, I'm not picking the Raiders as home favorites. To me, I think what this game comes down to is Jackson Dart needs this one more than the Raiders do. Dart has been very concussion prone, if you want to call it that, with his style of play. And to me, if the Giants get a top pick, a number one pick, they would probably go and take Fernando Mendoza. So Dart really needs to play well to finish this season out to prove that he's belongs on this roster and can still be trusted. I just think this is more of just like performance review for the rest of the season. I'll go with the Giants playing. I have at least maybe something to play for in this game.
I don't think the Giants would take Mendoza just because of the flashes Dart has shown. I just think there's
even with the
there.
injuries.
Even with the injuries, and it's just something the Giants would do. This is my lock of the week. I'm actually going Raiders minus 1.5, and I'll tell you why. So this game is essentially for the number one pick, and the reason, and I'm doing this because I disagree with you in the fact that I think the Giants would not take a quarterback in the first round just because of some of the things they've seen from Dart. The Raiders absolutely would. And it would, an incompetent organization like this, nothing would not surprise me more than Geno Smith just balling out, knowing he's not the quarterback of the future, just ruining it for the Raiders by having his best game of the year and costing them the number one overall pick. I just see that happening at home against an equally bad team, a team that has not won on the road this year, the New York Giants. So, yeah, this is my lock of the week just because the Raiders need the number one pick more. And usually the team that needs it more screws themselves out of it. And I see that happening here. Raiders minus 1.5, my lock of the week. Crazy, but I just don't. There's not many spreads I'm in absolute love with. And I just history has shown that that's just how the number one pick usually plays out. Like, think of the Jets a few years ago. Everyone thought, oh, that's where Trevor Lawrence is going to go. And then they just found a way to eke out a couple wins and cost themselves a pick, and they ended up with Zach Wilson. So that's what I see happening here. Okay, the actual good evening game is Eagles at Bills. Bills are 2.5-point favorites. And at first I went with Eagles, but then I was looking at it and like, there's just really not much for the Eagles to play for at the moment. and there's lots for the Bills to play for because, well, I think there's no way they win the division because the Patriots still have to play the juggernaut Jets and Dolphins in the last 2 weeks. There's still a chance, so the Bills still have a lot to play for. So I like the Bills at home at -2.5, mostly because Eagles have broken the streak. I never thought I'd see a team do it, but they are the first NFC East team since themselves to win back-to-back division titles since
Hey,
04.
your Cowboys gave him a run there for a little bit.
They did give him a run, and I thought the curse was going to live on, but good for the Eagles. I'm tired of hearing about that every year. So, yeah. So, but yeah. So, like I said, nothing to play for. They already have the division wrapped up. One seed's probably going to be too difficult to achieve. So, Bills -2.5.
Yeah, Josh Allen also needs to complete the collection because of the 31 teams he's faced. The Eagles are the only team he hasn't beaten outright. And so I just like taking a star in this situation, Josh Allen at home, with an offense I can trust because he'll do amazing things when he needs to. And I don't know if the Eagles defense can stop the Bills run game. And like you said, with the NFC East locked up, I would assume the Eagles would probably rest some guys in this game to prepare for the playoffs. I'm actually shocked the numbers this low. And it seemed to have moved in the Eagles' favor since it opened, but I'm in agreement with you. I feel like they don't have as much to play for in this game, so I will take Buffalo at -2.5. Sunday night football, we got the Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers. This one sitting at that key number of 3. 49ers offense just hammered the Colts defense last night. After such a great performance, I want to fade San Francisco in this spot, especially going against a Bears team that does tend to force turnovers. And this is just a good matchup of like a team on extended rest versus a team on short rest. Teams on any extended prep, 8 days or more, facing a team on short prep, 6 days or less. When that team who is on more prep is a road underdog, is only 12-39-1 straight up, 23-29 against the spread, dating back to 2003, failing to cover the spread by 2.6 points per game. So I am going to go against this trend. I'm going with the Bears. +3
Wow.
on the road. I like the extended rest for them in this spot after an emotional victory. And I just think 49ers are due for a letdown. They've been, riding this easy schedule for most of the year, so I like this spot here.
Man, I had the 49ers, and now I'm even more confident when you gave me that number because for a couple of reasons. The 49ers, you'd say, are due for a letdown. It just feels like they've just completely flown under the radar this whole year.
They have. It's because
like
they haven't been in a lot of prime time spots.
Yeah, but I mean, they went out. I'm pretty sure they have the 1 seed. Like if they win, if they finish at home, they have the Bears obviously this week at home, and then they'll have the Seattle at home to close out the year. And if they win those 2 games, yeah, I'm pretty sure they clinch the 1 seed. So, yeah, I think the 49ers. I give them the advantage at home, -3. I mentioned this earlier. I think way too many overreactions came from that Bears win over the Packers. Good win, but people are now throwing them in Super Bowl conversations and just how it was the most spectacular, amazing win of all time, and they had no flaws. And I'm like,
it's because it's Chicago.
Exactly. It was against Malik Willis at home, and you were down. And I'm like, yeah, they're going to come back down, and then they're going to. I like the 49ers at -3 here. I mean, yeah, their offense has just been good all year with Mac Jones and then now Brock Purdy, and it's peaking right now with Purdy. So, yep, Niners -3. And then Monday Night Football, another NFC West team who has a good chance at the 1 seed as well. The LA Rams traveling to Atlanta, who is on a meaningless 2-game win streak right now. Rams are 8.5-point road favorites. And yeah, when a team who has nothing to play for is on a 2-game win streak, I feel like, yeah, you're due for a letdown because you've got some satisfaction that you needed. Like, okay, we're still pros. We can still find wins. We look good on tape. yeah, we're due for a letdown. And then the Rams, I'm sure, are just absolutely starving to kick somebody's ass. So I like the Rams at -8.5 here.
Yeah, after the Rams blowing that lead to Seattle, especially coming off, they had a lot of time to think about it. McVay and the boys will open up a can of whoop ass on the Dirty Birds. McVay in December, I've said it before, I'll say it again. But also now off a loss, he is 32-19-1 against the spread off a loss. That is the best record for any coach since McVay entered the league in 2017. Also factoring in the fact that there are no weather conditions to think about with this. So under the dome in Atlanta, so this team can just run on this turf. So yeah, I like the Rams here to really lay the hurt down on the Falcons at -8.5. That is.
I will say one thing: this is a great matchup for the last game of the fantasy football season.
Oh yeah,
because you'll have Puka and Bijan,
Kyle Pitts.
And if I mean, I assume Kyle Pitts is on most teams. Most teams aren't in the playoffs, but if you are fortunate enough to have him, yeah, Kyle Pitts, Stafford. Hopefully, I don't know if Devontae is going to be back, but yeah, I mean, a lot of good players. I think it's a great matchup for to end the fantasy football season.
That is our signature segment, the spreadsheet, picks against the spread for week 17. And that brings us to our campus corner. We'll recap some of these games here very quickly, though, because like we said, it was a lackluster weekend for college football. And we'll get to the bigger conversation that came out of this weekend. We'll start with Alabama and Oklahoma. This one was a classic comeback. Alabama trailed by 17 points, but scored 34 unanswered to win 34-24, capped by big plays from Ty Simpson and a momentum-shifting pick six that flipped the contest. Roll Tide showed resilience on the road and punched their ticket to the quarterfinals with a gritty performance where they will face the Indiana Hoosiers.
The number one Indiana Hoosiers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the Rose Bowl.
Yep. And then Saturday kicked off with a grinder, Miami versus Texas A&M. One of the lowest scoring games of the weekend. Was the lowest scoring game of the weekend. I don't even know, comparing it to bowl games, what it did. But Miami stunned Texas A&M 10-3 in a defensive slugfest. Miami's defense made the plays when it mattered most. And the Hurricanes sealed it late in the fourth quarter with a touchdown drive that A&M just couldn't answer. And then we got to the next two matchups, and thank God there was NFL on, because Ole Miss and Oregon put it on Tulane and James Madison, the G5 team. So Ole Miss rolled in their matchup, winning 41-10 behind a dominant offensive outing. Tulane showed some grit, some yardage, but turnovers and missed opportunities kept this one firmly in the Rebels' control throughout. And as far as Oregon and James Madison, Oregon lived up to its offensive pedigree, topping JMU 51-34. The Ducks got explosive play after explosive play after explosive play, jumping out early and never really letting the Dukes come back in this one, despite a respectable offensive outing from JMU. What did you think overall of the weekend? Enjoy the Alabama-Oklahoma game, but just a nothing weekend for me, first-round matchups.
Yeah, exactly. Missed kicks kind of told the story in both the first two games. The Oklahoma kicker, he missed two kicks in the fourth quarter, which kind of cost put any chance of them coming back late to rest. And then Miami, it was an absolute defensive performance, but there were so many missed field goals in that game that it was just gouge your eyes out kind of game. And except last Miami drive and frankly the last Texas A&M drive, the two last drives of the game, that was entertaining. Miami just running it down A&M's throats, and then capping off with a touchdown. And then A&M driving right back all the way down the field, and then throwing that pick at the end of the game in the end zone. So, go ahead.
So before we get to the next two games, that brings us to the big debate this week. What did we really get out of including G5 representatives in the playoff? Don't get me wrong, Tulane, James Madison, they earn their spots with this current system that's in place. But when two of the first 2 of the 4 first-round games turn into one-sided affairs pretty early, made for a Saturday that lacked the competitive edge you expect in playoff football, what we want from this time of the year. Blowout scores just aren't exciting. they raise the question of whether the inclusion mechanics are creating mismatches that dilute the product. So we've got to ask, is automatic entry for certain G5 champs the way to go for this, or should we start to reformat this thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's now enough evidence from this year and then last year with Boise State that they just can't compete in the big time playoff against against SEC and Big Ten teams. So yeah, I think they should have their own postseason because frankly, James Madison's fun to watch. I'm sure James Madison's offense is kind of fun to watch, and Tulane's probably could be too. So it'd be fun to see the best. Some of those best teams in like a 4 or 8 team playoff have the best 8 teams from those the group of 5, and then and have their own postseason, and then have those be the bowl games that no one really watches between Monroe and Sam Houston State. Like no one watches those, but if it was a playoff format, I feel like they'd get more viewers. So yeah, I think it'd be entertaining, and it would solve the problem of teams that have no chance of winning in the playoffs. It'd help that because we can get teams like Notre Dame or Texas or Vanderbilt who maybe I wouldn't say they have a great chance, but they would put up more of a fight against Oregon and Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I think Nick Saban said it best. I don't know what show he said this on, but he's like, would we include a AAA baseball team in the MLB playoffs? And that's kind of the similar situation we have with this. Because ultimately, if the whole point of a playoff is to showcase the best matchups in college football, then having these teams in there is not the right way to do it. When you have Notre Dame sitting on the outside looking in, wondering why they weren't in there playing either one of these teams. So, one format that I've loved, and people can go search for this, is what Joel Klatt built. Was a way to fix the college football playoff, take control out of the hands of the committee, or at least most of the control, and create qualifying matchups on conference championship weekend, where teams basically earn their spot into the playoff, which is a pretty cool thing. And basically, where he had it was that Big Ten and SEC would each get 4 automatic bids. ACC and Big 12 would get 2. You get the 1 G5, which get 1 in there, but and then the one at large would basically be Notre Dame getting in there if they were good enough for it. So pretty cool thing that people can check out. Just look up Joel Klatt's reformatted college football playoff. You're bound to find it on the internet, but really like that reformatted look for the playoff. So maybe we could get to that point. Ultimately, I see us probably taking this to 16 teams or more as they continue to want to expand this. And what might happen is more G5 teams get in at that point. So maybe that's not the way to go. But yeah, that wraps up Campus Corner. Let's go to our final word and something to watch for. I picked this out. I saw the list of bowl games coming up, and I'm like, this one's interesting. Penn State versus Clemson, 2 teams that I would have penciled in for the college football playoff, playing at noon Eastern on Saturday in the Pinstripe Bowl. The 2 seasons that just came crashing down, season from hell. For both sides. One team actually getting rid of their coach as James Franklin got fired in the middle of the season. It's a cool matchup between a couple teams that I thought would be in the playoff, and it's at Yankee Stadium, which is just kind of cool scenery.
Absolutely. And then my final word is that hasn't really gotten too much attention because no one really wants to talk about it. But so we are both avid sports fans, and you might disagree with me here. So like tomorrow's Christmas Eve, there's only really one sporting event at all. And it's just the Hawaii Bowl, California versus Hawaii. So I saw what Penei Sewell said about the Lions, since the Lions are playing on Christmas Day, and he's saying he's not a fan of it because, well, rather be with his family, but because they also played on Thanksgiving. So is it really fair for them to play on both Thanksgiving and Christmas? And then LeBron came out and said that he would much rather spend Christmas with his family than playing a game. We love sports, but sometimes you just got to think. I mean, could Christmas really be a day where there's just no sports and everyone can be home with their families? Like make Christmas Eve, like have more sporting events on Christmas Eve, and then just have Christmas, just be a free day. I know the NBA loves that. I know that's been the NBA's day, but I might get hate for it, but I hear what the athletes have to say. And you might say, "Oh, they're millionaires; they can do it." And hey, first responders work on Christmas. And I'm like, yes, they do, but that's because that's what they're first responders. They have to do that. It's necessary. These athletes don't. I mean, it's not. They're just there for entertainment. So
they're not essential workers, right?
They're not essential work. Thank you. That's what that was. That was on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why I couldn't think of what the COVID term was back in 2020. They're not essential workers. Do we really need to? Do they really need to play on Christmas Day? I don't. I'm to the point now. I just don't think they do. But hey, if you need a break from your family and you want to go to another room and do something, well, at least there's sports on.
Yeah, and that would be like a good difference between that and Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's like all sports. It's like packed with football the whole weekend. And then you have New Year's, which is big on college football because that's like where a lot of the the New Year's Six bowls happen, as they've been part of the playoff. So I'd back that idea to just, because I'm watching sports all the time. It'd be nice to have a break from it, to not have to watch something, especially for this podcast. Nice job there, Logan. That's the show. This has been the K&L Sports Huddle for Logan Hubert. I'm Cage Kiplinger. May your bets hit, your team not choke, and your stress levels stay manageable. And we'll huddle up again next week.